Okay, so first we'd like to acknowledge that what we're going to talk about today, the workshops and the methodology we developed was on the unceded and traditional lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation. And you can see our elders in the photo who are part of our Matriarch Advisory Council. Amahanak, Chelsey Swake, Niskani, Kasim Ganadani, Gingulk, Wilwithwith, Tootsni. So hi, my name is Chelsey. I'm a citizen of the Nisga'a First Nation, and I have mixed Nisga'a and white European ancestry. And my Nisga'a ancestors come from the village of Gingulth in northern BC, also known as Kinklith. I use she, they pronouns, and I am also a PhD student at UBC and a research assistant on this project.
My name is Sasha Askarian. My pronouns are she, her. My family settled here from Iran about 30 plus years ago, and I am a PhD candidate in political science, also the research coordinator for AMPLIFY, and I'm very grateful to be here. And here you see our team as well, Brittany, Milo, Logan, and Dion.
So AMPLIFY is a community-based participatory action research study, and we call this project AMPLIFY because it represents our greater goal to use research as a tool to amplify and uplift Indigenous voices. And what we're going to talk about today is like our first project from AMPLIFY.
So I want to begin with looking at the first 4 phases of our methodology, and we're beginning with building a foundation. So this involves initial knowledge sharing practices, setting the stage, bringing our proposed ideas to the Matriarchal Advisory Council, the Two-Spirit Advisory, along with understanding our own positionalities and doing this work. Second, we have being encircled together, so having elders open the circle and having them lead circle agreements, and understanding common practices of respect and safety being seen and heard in that circle. Third is nourishment. This was an important one, and having meals, delicious meals at our workshops to make sure that people are feeling like they're being taken care of and nourished on all levels, from their bellies to their spirits. And finally, for this first 4 phases, we have building connection and being in community. So this is an ongoing commitment to relationship building and forming connections. And I want to just share one quick quote by one of our participants that said, "Everyone was working over the hide, sitting in circle together. This was the first time I felt the deeper connection." There was a significant amount of thought that went into how we want to be thoughtful and intentional in being inclusive. So if we're doing research with, by, and for cis, trans, Indigenous women, gender diverse, and Two-Spirit people, we have to ensure that the planning and the recruitments are inclusive for these groups. So we sought out advice from the MAC and Two-Spirit Advisory again, and to make sure that we're prioritizing those spots for host nations. And here we see that we have 8 participants and for the arts-based workshop. And yeah, that just kind of gives you an overview of the different diversity that we included. So we held 3 arts-based workshops. For the first one, participants shared a meal to begin with, and we learned from one another. We sat in circle. We had our elders open up the circle in a really wonderful, warm way. Erin Nelson Moody from Squamish Nation presented on Coast Salish art and protocols to set the stage to understand and honor the land where these art-based workshops were taking place. And our artist lead, Dion Paul, shared her stories and journey through different art modalities to really get the participants warmed up and into that space. For the second workshop, began in a similar way. We make sure that there's that nourishment, that safety, and that connection to begin with. And we had Milo, a Métis artist, facilitate a workshop using comics. And this one's really interesting because it was the first time we see participants coming together and really using storytelling in sketching and illustration. And one of the main questions that we asked is, what is cultural safety? What is safety? What is unsafety? And different perspectives and outcomes came from this.
So before we started the workshops and while we were doing them, we took time and space as a team to reflect on what actually creates a safe research space. what makes this space safe for each person, and creating safety was an ongoing reciprocal process of checking in with each other, ensuring that we didn't think about safety and culturally safe research spaces as a checkbox, but rather a continuous process that required reevaluation with that throughout. So once safety was present, the creativity began to flow. Learning to create traditional moccasins made from materials of the land and fostering an inclusive and safe space. Participants were empowered to think critically about how their art represents who they are, who calls them home, their sacred traditions and identities, and what envisions Indigenous futurism to look like. As one participant said, you can come to this space and just show up as you are, and you are met where you are. This ultimately fostered a space of storytelling and the ability for participants to share their own realities. The moccasin making was guided by Dion, Paul, and elders, which supported the transferring of generational knowledge, the passing down of knowledge to support the next generation to come. While the third workshop focused on art and passing down cultural knowledge, we also made space for a sharing circle to discuss the lived experiences that came up while we were making moccasins and to deepen our knowledge and understanding on culturally safe sexual and reproductive healthcare for Indigenous women, gender diverse, and Two-Spirit peoples. Participants shared their experiences of connecting to their own cultural teachings and art, expressing that the artwork is a representation of who we are, and that it's in our DNA. As another participant said, your lineage is being sewn into your moccasins. Artists are the people who make things and tell us who they are and who we are. It's in our DNA. Participants shared their dreams of what culturally safe healthcare looks like, focusing on humility, anti-racism, and seeing ourselves reflected in the people who work in health systems, ensuring that our bodies, identities, and health are treated as if they're sacred. As a participant shared, we share sacred and personal information with healthcare providers, and we should feel like we are interacting with people who hold our health with privacy and like it's sacred, that we ourselves are sacred no matter how we identify. Another participant said, we have a narrow view of medicine and of what healthcare could look like. Process that we as people and as communities are evolving, and that medicine needs to evolve with us as well. As nations, we are here and we are evolving, that we are looking to the future of relational healthcare systems that hold us and our bodies as sacred.
And for our final methodology from 9 to 12, we begin with a commitment to accountability, and that's being accountable with the knowledge that was shared, the stories that were shared, and the art that was created. And a key part of this is not promoting pan-Indigenous art, but instead creating space for each participant to draw upon their own cultural teachings and ancestral backgrounds. By cultivating this inclusive and supportive environment, we now see these artists as artists, confident artists who are able to feel uplifted, and we can honor their work by organizing a professional and public exhibition. And to close the circle, we will be giving artist baskets so that they can continue to create well after this study comes to a close. And so just really quickly, and we're really excited about the 2 exhibitions that are coming up. The first one is going to be actually at the Vancouver Public Library on the 9th level, a very stunning location where we're going to have photos of the moccasins, walking in their moccasins. So many of the moccasins that were created will be shown in nature or in different aspects, and with artist statements reflecting the stories of each personal participant. And it's exciting because it's going to be during Rock Your Mocks as well. So it's a part of looking at how we celebrate Indigenous identity. The second one will be December 1st at ANCO. This is a more traditional gallery space, and it's absolutely stunning, multi-leveled, and we will have the physical moccasins in addition to the photographs. And here, this is going to be a 6-month exhibition. And a part of doing this is really giving an opportunity to give back to the participants. It's not about just extracting data, but actually taking care and connecting with the people that we work with, the communities that have so generously shared with us. So AMPLIFY is trying to do something really different here, and we're excited about it.
Okay, so just to kind of end with some key takeaways. These themes were produced from the conversation we had in the sharing circle during the third workshop. Participants were asked questions as they were posted before on the slides about what we need to see, feel, hear in healthcare systems and what they dream Indigenous healthcare will look like in the future. When we connect to our ancestral teachings, our protocols, ceremonies, and potlatches, our ancestral knowledge becomes the medicine that we need to see in healthcare and research spaces. Making changes in healthcare systems to address racism and cultural safety often requires large sets of data and rigorous quantitative studies to advocate for change. But what we have witnessed here is that art is a rigorous method of research, that through art we connect to the teachings in our DNA. We feel power of building community, relationality, and telling stories, and we envision the future for equitable Indigenous healthcare where bodies and health are sacred. Thank you.